Compact system cameras were first announced 5 years ago. At the time they were said to be smaller and easier to use and less bulky than a DSLR. Yet in the UK last year, more than 4 times as many DSLRs were sold than compact system cameras. CSCs racked up sales of just 100,000 units. So why is this, and do people really care what format they buy?
I've got both DSLR and a compact. They both have different applications, really. If I've got the time and the strength to carry all my equipment, I'll take the Canon 5D Mark II, which I have. Otherwise, I have a little Lumix GF1, which is just much more candid, and you can pop it in and out and stick it in your bag. And I suppose that's more an opportunist camera rather than I'm going out to take a photograph camera.
I own both, actually. I've got a Canon DSLR kit, and I've also just invested in the Fuji X Pro kit as well. Decided to go for the compact because it was compact. It was so much easier to carry, so much easier to use as well. With the DSLR kit, it's quite bulky, it's quite heavy, and I ended up taking everything around with me, whereas I can just put one lens on and have the freedom to shoot what I want to shoot, really.
CSC camera sales as part of DSLR sales were behind because we are a bit of a country of traditionalists, really, and I think you've got the big boys like Canon and Nikon who are doing very well still in their DSLRs, but they are the brands who don't really have the most successful compact system cameras around. So for whatever reason, I think the British public are still hanging on to the days of glory of Canon and Nikon.
I mean, I have a niece she's about 13 or 14, and she got interested in the photographs I was taking, and I recommended her to go GF2 simply because it was cost effective and she had a lot of fun with it, and it goes into your handbag. So that was my advice to her when it came to that. But I think if you're going to learn to take photographs, you need to learn to take them properly, and I think a DSLR has, you will probably test you'll probably develop a better skill set by not sort of simply having it on automatic mode and getting into the way the camera works to get the most out of it.
I think everybody knows what a DSLR is, and it's a catch-all term, isn't it, for digital SLRs, but you're right, CSC cameras get called all sorts of different things. But not too many. I mean, you've got mirrorless. I don't know that many brands are referring to their products as mirrorless. I know Sony have started to just recently, and Canon have. I think CSC, or compact system camera, tends to be the term that everyone has heard of. But yeah, it would be nice if the brands could all agree on one title for that type of product.
Yeah, the term is quite confusing because when I first started, it was a compact camera was a small point and shoot camera, and now you've got the compact system. I think people still get confused with what's sort of just a compact, put in your pocket camera to a semi-pro sort of decent bit of kit. So I think there's maybe some polishing up of terms and phrases, but yeah.
In 2013, compact system camera sales fell by more than 30%. We spoke to Richard Gregory from market research firm GfK to explain some more.
There was obviously quite a significant drop in both formats for interchangeable lens cameras, and it's probably a little bit wrong to point to compact system cameras on their own. Obviously they did have a difficult time, and I think especially in Q4 we're into a comparison period where there was a lot of promotional activity in 2012 at the end, and so it was always going to be difficult to try and compete with that, so probably that made things look a little bit worse than it actually was. And we track body-only sales, so if there's a lens in the box, we'll actually strip that out, so that will bring the price down. But sort of sub £300 SLR cameras are growing as a proportion quite significantly, and especially in Q4. And so that's going to impact and start to challenge the compact system camera, the average prices. And I think we looked at the difference between the average price of an SLR and a compact system in 2012 versus 2013, and that had gone from a good £100 difference down to about £70. It is difficult for consumers to understand sometimes exactly what it is they're buying and what the differences are. I think on the face of it, it's a large SLR versus a small SLR, and maybe the marketing piece and the education piece needs to move that way. But I think you've got to look at the different manufacturer brands that there are for compact system, and I think they'd be keen to keep the difference in terms of the categories to be able to promote obviously what they're selling versus the traditional SLR manufacturers. For compact system, actually, since week 1, 2014, there's actually been growth versus 2013. We need to obviously realise that some of that's down to the retail landscape, and obviously we saw Jessop's go out of business at the beginning of 2013, and so there's going to be a few weeks really before we can see that there's been an uplift in the category, I think.
Panasonic also tell us that compact system cameras have returned to growth in the early part of 2014. One thing is clear, the war between DSLRs and compact system cameras looks set to intensify. And as we look forward to the Photokina trade show in Cologne in Germany in September, check back for more news and videos at amateurphotographer.co.uk.